I am Ralph Michaels. We are talking about NFL TNA. That's trends and angles. I'm going to finish this video with 380% NFL systems. Make sure you stay tuned. How do good teams do as a dog? And how do bad teams do as a favorite late in the NFL season? That is chart number 1. How do division teams do in their second matchup of the season? That is chart number 2. We'll finish it off with 4 super systems, including 3 at 80% or higher. Let's get to it. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the WagerTalk NFL TNA video for this week. Well, again, I appreciate all the comments. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing these videos. I love reading your suggestions on charts. And our second chart is from one of you viewers and your idea. Let's start off with bad teams as a favorite and good teams as a dog. Well, it's hard to quantify that early in the season because if you go 2-1, you may be 67%, but that doesn't mean you're a quality team. So once we get to game 9, we're into the second half of the season. I think that does quantify you as a good team if you have a win percentage of 60% or higher, and perhaps a struggling team if you have a win percentage of 40% or lower. I also wanted to knock off those 1 and 2 point lines. So first, let's take a look at the chart. And on the left-hand side, on the very top, you see teams that have a win percentage of 40% or less, yet they are a favorite of 3 or more from game number 9 throughout the regular season. The first thing that jumps out to me is take a look at the bottom, guys. When we have a bad team, meaning a win percentage of 40% or less, and they're a favorite of -3 or more, if they're playing at home, blindly, they're 45% against the spread. If they're playing on the road, blindly, they're 69% against the spread. And does that make sense? I think it does. Remember, if you're a bad team at home and you're a favorite of 3 or more, you could be close to a pick 'em. With a home field edge of 2.5 or 3, if you're a home favorite of 3 or more, you're basically pick 'em at home against an opponent that's hungry to win. But if you're an away favorite of 3 or more, you add in the home edge, and that means you're likely 6 points better than this opponent you're playing. So it makes perfect sense to me. It's so nice when you can do a chart like this and see the home-away dichotomies, and they work out exactly what you should be. One quick note about those bad teams as a favorite of 3 or more. Take a look. Game number 9, they're 1 and 3. Game number 10, there haven't been any. Game number 12 and on, 2-1, 8-1, 2-0, 2-2, 4-1, 1-0. That means 14-2, 6, 18-4, 18-5, 23 and 5 for away favorites of 3 or more, the win percentage of 40% or less from game number 11 and on. Write that down and make sure it helps you the rest of the season. Let's take a look at the opposite side on the right-hand side of the chart. These are quality teams, a win percentage of 60% or higher from game number 9 and later, and they're a dog of 3 or more, like San Fran is this week. Well, those teams at home, blindly betting them, 45% against the spread. On the road, a positive, not quite as good as the positive of the left-hand side of the chart, but still 61 and 47, 57%. So again, not going to blindly play these plays, but when you have these situations on the road of a bad team as a favorite or a good team as a dog, they've been a very positive ATS situation. Our chart number 2, division teams in the second meeting. I went back to 2015, and if you see the chart, the left-hand side, the headline is previous meeting. So P:\WHF means they won game one of a division game as a home favorite, won as a home dog, lost as a home favorite, lost as a home dog. On the right-hand side, you see the favorite and the dog columns. So obviously, if you won your first game at home, you're either an away favorite or away dog in the second game. Same thing if you lost a home favorite or home dog, you are obviously now an away favorite or an away dog in the second meeting. This one shocked me. If you blindly bet the favorite in the second meeting, take a look at those records, guys. 50%, 100%, only 6-0, 64.5%, and 4-3, 57%. Does that make sense? I think it does. I never even dawned on me. I always looked for the subsets without just the basic favorites in the second game of division foe are a positive. Dogs are a negative in the second game. And you think about it, the season progresses early in the season, everyone's healthier, you're playing an opponent, and you get many more variables, upsets, losing as a favorite, and so on. But in the second meeting, later on in the season, those teams that are favorites have obviously played significantly better. And again, the records show it is legitimate. Blindly betting the favorite in the second game of the division meeting has been a solid play. Worst number on the board, teams that lost the first game as a home dog and are now an away dog, they've gone 50, 57-3, 46.7%. So no horrible numbers, but again, a chart that you want to keep for the rest of the year as these division opponents are now playing their second meeting. Again, this chart goes back to 2015. I want to thank everyone so much. If you took advantage of my 5% this last week, I had Hawaii and San Jose State over the total, an easy winner, cashed in the third quarter. My college football 5%, now 11-2, 85%. I will have one this weekend. It will be loaded by Thursday night. If you sign up for the Weekend Warrior, you will get that play immediately as soon as I load it, plus all of Saturday's college football, all of Sunday's NFL, and if I have an NFL play on Monday, you'll get it as well. The college football 5% by itself, $35. The Weekend Warrior, just $14 more. And I told you I cashed my 5% in college football last week. Last year, I was number 2 in college football. This year, I am number 1 the last 30 days in college football on a 14-6, 80% run. Try out the Weekend Warrior. You'll be glad you did. As I said, 3 super systems. First, the Panthers. You want to talk about a team that's up and down? They lose 30-0. And then what happens last week? They win as a double-digit dog on the road. Well, guess what? Teams since 1991 that are off an away win as a double-digit dog, like the Panthers are this week, have only gone 25, 54-2, 32% against the spread. I have 3 more systems that are all 79% or higher. Before I get to those, one favor. Hit that like button, and if you're not following WagerTalk TV, give it a follow. As soon as I load these videos, you'll be notified that they're available. All the WagerTalk handicappers I talk to thoroughly enjoy doing these videos. By you hitting the like button, by you following WagerTalk, it allows us to continue to do this free content day in and day out through the football season, college basketball season, and NBA. I'll be starting some NBA and college basketball TNA videos as well within the next week, so stay tuned. But again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch this video. Hit that like button, and let's finish this off with 3 super NFL systems. The Detroit Lions have not lost many games. Since 2015, away favorites of -4 or higher that are off a loss as a home favorite, and their opponent is also off a loss. Those teams like the Detroit Lions are 38, 10, and 3, 79.2%. Again, let me repeat that. The team is off a loss as a home favorite. They're an away favorite of 4 or more, and they're playing a team that also lost last week, 38 and 10, 79%. And oh yeah, by the way, I stole this from my son's Twitter this morning. The Detroit Lions are 12-0 against the spread after a loss, and they've covered those games by 12.8 points per game. The Raiders overtime loss burned me. I'll talk about that more in 1 minute. But if an NFL team is off an overtime game and they have 4 days of rest or less, and their opponent is not off an overtime game, that's simple. You think those teams get worn out off an overtime game, short week? Guess what? They certainly do. Teams like the Raiders, since 2002, 4 ATS wins, 24 ATS losses. That is 14.3%. A clear system to fade the Raiders. Again, off an overtime game, doesn't matter if they won or lost, 4 days of rest or less, and their opponent, not off an overtime game, 4 and 24, 14.3% against the spread. And the system that I just mentioned, why I was pissed about the Raiders. Well, last week I used the Raiders under the total. Why? Well, because both teams were off a bye and the total was under 51. Well, prior to last week, the system was 115-1 over under. Now it's 215-1 over under. The Raiders did go over with this system last week, but I do want to remind you that game was 0-0 late into the second quarter. It was 6-3 at halftime. It was 16-13 with 4 minutes left. They score 17 points the last 4 minutes of regulation and 10 points in overtime to go over the total. When those are the way you lose a game, that's the type of system you want to pay attention to. So again, the over-under system, 2 overs, 15 unders in 1 push. That's an 88% to the under, and it's simply this. Both teams are off a bye. The total, under 51 points. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at CalSportsLV. Hit that like button and sign up for my Weekend Warrior today. College football 5%, 11-2, 82%. College football number 2 last year, number 1 the last 30 days, 14-6, 80%. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend of football, and I'll be back next week with some more NFL TNA.